here's a chance for you to see what Tanzanian life looks like as they are walking to and from their place of business or their place of living. Of course, we have the bicycle, which is a popular form of transportation. You also have the car and vehicle, but you'll notice the woman who is walking behind me. She's actually walking with a bundle over her head, on her head. It is seen often. Well, I want to talk to you right now about semicolons. I want you to understand what semicolons are all about. I want you to, first of all, remember that a semicolon is a comma with a period over top. Where and when do we use them? Some of you might remember from high school that your teacher said semicolon is longer than a comma when it comes to pausing, but it is shorter than a period. In other words, the pause kind of lies right between a period and a comma. However, that is very tricky to figure out how to apply. So I'm going to give you a few rules, and hopefully these will help you know how to implement the use of a semicolon in your writing. First, we have that independent clause. That clause that stands on its own. It's a sentence. An example would be, I'm very happy to be here in Tanzania. It makes sense all on its own. Something that is very closely related when it follows could be, I am glad that I am teaching English here. Well, how do we make this work with semicolons? Actually, instead of a period, you can use a semicolon. No conjunction. You just have those two independent clauses, which are closely related, side by side. You put the semicolon in between. I'm very glad to be here in Tanzania, semicolon. I'm happy to be teaching English here, side by side. You also can use that same semicolon when you have two independent clauses and there are many commas used in the first part of the sentence. As we let this vehicle pass by, I want to share with you an example of what that would look like. We do not often see on the road to Tanzania big vehicles like that. That is an unusual sight. So I could explain that that vehicle was loud, cumbersome, expensive, and daunting. There are some good descriptive words of that vehicle. Well, if I had all those commas in place before the word vehicle, then when I went into the next part of the sentence, it would be wise for me to put a semicolon before the conjunction. I've had so many commas in a row that to use another comma might confuse the reader. So I could say semicolon and. With a pause with the vehicle, I could say semicolon and. It is good that I got out of the way of that vehicle. You see, with all of those commas beforehand, that semicolon before the conjunction and is a handy thing for clarification. Oh, what are the other opportunities for using semicolons? I have talked to you about that semicolon before a more complex conjunction like therefore or however. Please visit the comma section of our videos to learn more about that. Finally, I want you to also consider the fact that there are sometimes you have lists where in the midst of the list you have used commas. And when you have lists with commas, it is helpful to put a semicolon in between those items. What would that look like here in Tanzania, Africa? It might look something like this. My husband, comma, who is here with me in Tanzania, comma, is having a wonderful time, semicolon. My daughters, comma, who are not here with me in Tanzania, comma, are missing me, semicolon. And our last part in the list, our third item in the list, my parents, comma, who are in Canada, comma, are eager for me to return home. Do you see what we have? We have 3 items in a list, but in each of those items, there were commas. And when that happens, it's best to put semicolons between those items in a list. Well, I've told you a lot about semicolons, and I have given you a glimpse of Tanzania. I'm hoping you're seeing the beautiful mountains that surround this city of Morogoro. It is a wonderful opportunity for me to be here in Tanzania, to learn more about their culture, to understand that the many motorcycles that are going by are a very necessary form of transportation for them. That's their taxi service. It's why we see so many motorcycles going by the home where I'm staying. Well, as you're writing, please apply these rules regarding semicolons.